This meeting it is a matter of public record, so keep that in mind as you make sure that nothing inappropriate or any interference comes across the microphone or the screen. Keep yourself muted when you are not speaking. Feel free to unmute yourself when you want to contribute to the conversation, but then just mute yourself when you're done, please. I will try to keep an eye on the chat box, but I highly encourage you to participate vocally. We are here at the CEFS main office. It is Thursday, September 12th, 2024, and do we have my phone yet?
Not unless he's not one of the two numbers on there, is he?
No. We have someone joining us by phone with the area code 217, last three digits are 956. Is that Jeff Voigt?
It is. It
Hello,
is,
Jeff.
and you like it is, and you sound like you're in a tunnel. It's very hard to understand you.
I think it's like everyone's muted and I am not, my computer's not connected, so I want to switch this.
But the Kelly one and the Jamie one of them needs to be muted.
I'm not connected,
Okay.
so it's not picking me up.
Okay.
So Kelly should be the only one unmuted because that's picking up from there. But it might just be because I'm far away from the microphone.
Am I sliding?
That's,
No, I think it's just the Zoom account. I didn't sign it.
that's Kelly.
So I didn't sign in.
I have a phone number. The area code is 618 and the last three digits are 853. Can you announce yourself? I unmuted, but I can't. Phone number ending in 853. It does look like you're unmuted, but I can't hear you if you're trying to say anything. You might want to check if your actual device itself is on mute.
I'm checking the chat.
Or
Kim Taylor, can you hear me now?
Hi, Kim.
they're on the phone. They tell you. The phone. Thank you. Welcome, Kim. With that, do we want to wait to see if Mike Conrad is going to pop in the next moment, or should we go ahead and get started? Because it is 4:34.
The confirmation that he's coming.
All right, so with that, I will allow Vice Chair Chris Stroll to call the meeting to order when she is ready.
Welcome to the September 12th, 2024 Planning and Oversight meeting of LWIA 23. Roll call, please.
Casey Burkholder,
Present.
Kevin Busher,
Present.
Mike Conrad, Aaron Hacker,
Here.
Julie Overmore,
Here.
Chris Stroll,
Here.
Kim Taylor,
Here.
Carol Tracy, here, Jeff Boyd.
Here.
We have four.
Okay, Debbie just informed me we do have quorum, so the number 2 item on our agenda is review and approval of the June 13th, 2024 minutes.
This is Kim. I can make the motion to approve.
We have a motion from Kim and a second from Carol. Any discussion? Seeing none, we will, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries on approval of minutes from the June 13th meeting. Number 3 on the agenda is conflict of interest disclosure. Does anyone have a conflict of interest for anything today?
Yes, I'm approving the budget. Since I'm presenting.
Technically, it's not getting approved because it's going to be meeting.
Okay.
So this is just a discussion. Okay, so no conflicts from Kevin. Is there a conflict from anyone else on any of the items that will be voted on today? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 4 on the agenda, grant recipient fiscal agent report. Debbie, I'll let you take it from here.
We will start with, a lot of this is the end of fiscal year review for June of this year. So the first page is the statement of expenditures for WIA. As you can see, we ended at 88.4% of the overall budget. I don't know if there's any questions on any of the lines. A couple of things I did want to point out, that computer equipment was slightly over, but we did get 2 new laptops. And those are being transferred over to Sept whenever they take over. And then I wanted to point out the administrative expense for the first year ever. We did not hit the $50,000. It ended at $41,500. So is there any questions on any of the other ones? In the chat that you can speak loudly. Okay. All right, we will move on to the second page, which is the apprenticeship expansion grant. That one, we ended at 77% of the overall grant budget. Are there any questions on this one? Okay, we will move on to the next page. The next 2 pages are the accounts payable report. And it's running from June through August. And a lot of it is our typical Sept tax requests, the credit card. There was several incumbent worker training projects, but something that was a little bit different, besides the 2 laptops, there was different for the supplemental grant that we paid out for different projects for that. So that's why a lot of the Illinois Eastern Community Colleges and Kaskaskia. And then also at the end, there's some Lakeland that, since it was all internal, it was just done by journal entries instead of actually using physical checks. So any questions on that one? We move on to the next page, which is the key metrics. As you can see, the 22 grant, we met everything there, as well as the obligations for the year, well, the obligations for the 22 grant, obligations for the 23 grant for the first year, we met everything there. And I have no doubt that the year 2 will be met 100%. So we are meeting all of that. Direct training expenses, as we will review on the next page, but we ended up meeting that for the adult and dislocated workers. 50% is required, and we hit it at 53%. So then as far as the youth, we knew going in the 22 grant that we were not going to be able to recover on that one. And right now, it's showing that we are not meeting for the 23 grant, but we have plans to make sure that it will happen. So I have no doubt that by the time the 23 grant is done, that those will be. Any questions on that one? Okay. The next page, as I just sort of talked about, we ended the adult and dislocated worker at the 50%. We did not have to touch the 1E grant training that we weren't for sure, but we did not have to. So luckily, no issues there. So 53% for that, and then the overall, we were at 49.1%. And like I've said in the past, this is just more of an internal tracking sort of thing, nothing that DCO actually looks at and makes you hit a certain mark. So. Any questions on those 2 pages? Okay, the next page is the provider contract budget. This is the final revision that we extended back in June, I believe. that we were going to make it go through September 30th. And then in the meantime, it's been decided that the 24 allocations would go directly to Sept. So basically, this is showing whatever the carryover was for the 23 grant. And then it just basically is taking into factor any of the incumbent worker training projects, and then any of our last flaking and costs or anticipated estimated for the last 3 months. So this is what, the last contract budget with that was going to be between Lakeland and Sept. Any questions on that one? Page is the MOU invoices. This is for the directors and officers insurance. It typically gets filled out towards the end of November, beginning December. And as of August 12th, we received the last payment, so everything was all paid and is to a zero balance. Once we took the care costs out, they ended up, I don't know, they just weren't part of, I don't know how you would even explain it at this point. Grant. So we just took that $20 or whatever it ended up being and absorbing it. So, but everything else has been paid, so we are at a zero balance. Any questions on that one? Okay, the next page is just sort of a recap of the CY 23 incumbent worker training project. As you can see, we ended up paying out over $100,000 for last fiscal year. So it was a very good year for not only the amount of projects, but the overall amount paid, so. Depends on that one. Then the last page is basically the CY 24 incumbent worker training project. Basically, we had 4 different ones that Lakeland, well, actually 3 that Lakeland is going to go ahead and pay, and Seth will end up reimbursing for because they're going towards the 24 grant. So, those projects have already ended and they're actually in process of getting paid right now. There is one for Coast Auto Body that Seth will finish up at $14,000. And then there's a couple other carryover ones that Conagra and Clay County, those are longer. So those will be paid out on a semester basis. And then graphic packaging, that is probably the big question mark. Their training ended a while back and we cannot get the paperwork for them. So they've been given a deadline to get everything submitted by September 15th. Which is Sunday. So if they do not, then they have been told that it will not get paid out. So technically, according to the contract, you're supposed to have the paperwork in within 30 days. So unfortunately, I mean, I hate to $14,000 worth of training, but if they're not going to give us what we need to be able to properly process it, it's sort of out of our hands too.
Any idea why they're not, or haven't?
Turn over to the company.
Okay. That's what I'm wondering.
And then there was one other Intermountain Electric. Whenever we ended in June, we thought we had all the 23 money spent. And down at the bottom, there's a $5,000 contract for Intermountain Electric that they had 2 people going to training and both of them did not pass. So that's why there's an extra $5,000 in the 23 grant right now, so. Any questions on that? Okay. And then I just wanted to point out, of course, these are the reports that we have now. I know with Seth taking over that the reports will definitely change to some extent, but if there's anything that you guys are wanting to see, by all means, like Kevin and Kelly and the team, whenever we get fully going, let them know and, go from there. Same way with monthly board reports that go out. I know some of that will definitely change. There's a service provider contract page that won't be needed anymore. The statement of expenditures, that one will probably change to an extent, but, by all means, let Beth know that way. If there's certain stuff that you feel is necessary and they just have to bring it out their processes or reporting to you, then just let them know, so. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up, Lakeland annual audit. This was the first year that the new accounting firm, they were going to do a more intense look at the WIA program. And so it typically starts late July, and they had plenty of questions. Last time I heard from them was middle of August, so I'm hoping that it's all said and done and they're just preparing their report. So I'm assuming no news is good news, so, but. And then I will let Max know that once the official report is done, that needs to go to the BCS.
It will also have the first 3 months of this year that will be on next year's audit, and that will need to go to DCO also, so.
Any questions about any of what I reported on?
Any questions for Debbie from the Zoom call?
I see nothing in the chat.
Hearing no questions, I would entertain any motions to approve the grant recipient fiscal agent reports that were presented by Debbie. The motion from Carol,
This is Aaron Hacker. I second.
a second from Aaron. Any further discussion? Debbie, could we get a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Casey Burkholder,
Yes.
Kevin Butcher,
Yes.
Mike Conrad, Aaron Hacker,
Yes.
Julie Overmore,
Yes.
Chris Ford,
Yes.
Kim Taylor,
yes,
Carol Tracy, Jeff Boyd.
Yes.
Okay, and moving to number 5 on the agenda, our PY 23 LWIA 23 performance report. I'm going to turn to Kelly.
Okay, so, your performance measure, form is in the packet, and, I would like to show that we did exceed almost every category except for 2, and we did meet those. So we ended up on a good note. One thing I want to point out, as Debbie had mentioned earlier, we did meet those benchmarks at 20% work-based program for the out-of-school youth. And
Not yet.
the 20% we did.
Well, the 22 grant, we did not. 23 is not officially done until the money is spent.
Okay.
So you're well on your way.
We're there,
Right
yeah.
now, we are over it, but we have to officially spend the last dime, and then we will get to say.
Okay.
That's the next.
Okay, well, I'm unofficially saying, I'm just very proud of our team. We worked really hard because in February started, we were really behind. And, our career planners, our team have really worked hard, and I just want to give them kudos and let everyone know how hard they work. So, we are also right now in our, PY 24 performance negotiations. And, we have a date of September 25th to get that completed. Another thing I want to say is that we have had a few change-ups in our staff in the last quarter, and due to, we weren't really sure if we were going to meet that overhead, that 50% overhead mark. So we did let one person go in Mattoon. We had 3 career planners there. We did let one go. Because we only had one person in Centralia, we did have to let her go. We did fire her, but we have recently added a new person, and she started last week. So we're hoping that that turns out well. We've also had some layoffs, and I'm sure you all have heard that Midwest Transport has had some big changes, and we are looking to possibly help 75, there's 75 individuals that may be affected. And so we're, getting information out. Elaine probably would know more about that situation.
Yeah, they're getting ready to mail out, since they're so spread out, there's 645 layoff. And since they're so spread out, they're gonna do a mailing instead of having regular rapid response meetings.
The 645 is not all.
No, the 645 is the whole company, and they're in Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Florida, I believe. Anyway, but instead of having regular meetings, they're just gonna mail stuff out. And I got the stuff in the mail today, what he's mailing out. He's mailing out a bunch of stuff to the company, and the company is going to distribute it to the workers. So I did talk to Maureen, who's in Robinson, where they have one of their HUDs. And she's had 3 or 4 people come in that she's helped file their unemployment. So they're starting to come in.
Do we know how many are in our local workforce area?
We're thinking 35, about 35.
Oh, okay, I just got an email from Trevor earlier, yeah, he said 75. So it was started out with about 30 to 40, and then I just got an email, he said 75, so I'm not sure. We're not certain.
The way construction things work is they have a place in Greenup and they have a place in Robinson. But some of those people, those truck drivers, they live in Indiana. They don't live, but they're actually part of one of those offices. So I don't know how they count.
Right.
So they are closing the one in Greenup?
They're closing the one in Greenup and the one in Robinson. And I think they were all, the truckers were told before the weekend that last weekend was their last weekend. So I think they're all gone now.
From what we've heard, they were told on Thursday and Friday was their last
Yeah.
day. That's not
Yeah.
very nice.
I know. And then the
I think
other
they were shocked.
layoff that probably everybody started at Kentucky Fried Chicken was laying off in 4 states. But our region, Charleston was the only one that was shut down, and there's 17 employees there, and everybody's here that.
Yeah, we have had nobody come in, and Trevor has not been able to get a list of customers from them. So another company bought them, EW, something chicken, bought out Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they couldn't make the contract work. That's why they shut down. But I do know a week ago Friday, we went to the one here in Effingham, and it was closed.
They can all go work at Chick-fil-A and that's it, and they're looking.
I know, right? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. They have good chicken, so, yeah.
We have a question from the chat. The new hire you mentioned will serve in Centralia, correct?
Yes. So the reason is because we only have one career planner in Centralia, want to definitely serve that area. So we hired there. We had 3 employees in the Mattoon office. Caseloads were low, and we were concerned about the overhead, so we did let one career planner. And that's my report.
In regards to, meeting your, seating your limits there, I will say probably in the this past year, I've had more contact with the case managers than I have in the past. It seems like I'm talking to them quite a bit, so that's really good.
Giving them referrals or?
Yeah, and then they're checking in with me to see if I have anything.
Awesome.
So,
That's great.
so I will say they are.
Yes, they have really been working really hard. Elaine and I are just super proud of them, so. Especially once we meet those benchmarks. And I believe that we will do that in PY 20. Thank you for correcting me, Kevin. It's not official.
It counts every penny and nickel and dime. Yeah,
She's only doing dimes, not pennies.
Oh, she's not doing anything more.
She said dime earlier.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Kelly? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, program fiscal monitoring report, and I'll turn that over to Miss Jamie.
So back in May, we had programmatic and fiscal monitoring from DPO. On July 12th, we received the official letter with the monitoring results. There were no findings from the fiscal review, from the programmatic review. There were 2 findings, one of which there was no corrective action that could take place. The other item was quickly taken care of. The official response letter with the corrective action that had been done was sent to Tamika Chisholm a few weeks ago on August 5th of 2024. So with that, we have concluded our most recent program in fiscal monitoring.
Any questions for Jamie on monitoring letters?
Here's what probably should have.
Oh, we probably do need to approve that, don't we?
I don't think it's happy roll call.
We'll go ahead and do a roll call vote. I'll take any motion to approve the program and fiscal reporting that Jamie presented, and there was information in your packets also.
Make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor from Kevin. Is there a second?
Voight seconds.
Second from Jeff Boyd. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Debbie, will you do a roll call vote for this, please?
Casey Burkholder,
Yes.
Ted Busher,
Yes.
Mike Conrad, Aaron Hacker,
Yes.
Julie Overmore,
Yes.
Crystal,
Yes.
Kim Taylor. Carol Tracy. Yes. Jeff Wood.
Yes.
Okay, next, item number 7, PY 24 CFS budget. Kevin,
Sure.
turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you. As Debbie was explaining before, the PY 24 budget, the state had asked that budget started that in comparison to CFS. And so in the last month, we were able to complete the budget and get that turned in. And then so yesterday, I actually signed off on the notice of state award. So that should be being processed to CFS by October 1st. So I just want to report on you on the budget. Now, again, the budget's going to look different. The reason why the budget's going to look different is we're providing you, since we are the service provider, and it'll be the fiscal year October 1st. We're providing you with a full budget of administrative and also for the youth development support work. We want to provide you with that full budget. And what you have in front of you here is the budget template from PCO. And what you need to look at is the 4th quarter. That's the final numbers of the budget. So just quickly, administrative, that's the administrative part of the grant fiscal agent part of the budget. You can see personnel is 142,000, fringe benefits 43,000, administrative costs 62,000. That's going to be building part of building and water and lights and mileage and background checks and all that other fun stuff. And if you guys want to see that more in detail, you'll have to let me know, or we can get that to you. Indirect cost is the indirect cost rate. We have negotiated indirect cost rate. Federal Agency of Department of Health and Human Services at 14.8%. So 14.8% of salary and wages that we pay for the admin staff is collected to pay for budgets or audits. Part of our CFO, part of my salary, That's in the indirect cost rate. Kind of like the portion that Lakeland College had of that 50,000, we said 41,000 was spent. It's the same thing, it's just done in a different way. Then we have the youth breaking out between in school and out of school. As you can see, we have costs for our career planners, Elaine and Kelly and the other staff broken down in each of those. We also have it, breaking down our direct training costs between occupational skills training, vocational training, on the job training, the work experience. Those are all split up between each of the youth in school and out of school. If you want to turn the page, we do the same thing for adult participating worker. All those items as far as personnel costs, and then the direct training costs are all split up. So, again, I gave you the state template. As we turn that in, that's how that looks. You guys want me to go over line by line, start and then the next page, just want to share our goals for the registrants for each of three programs for PY24. Again, this is something we turn in for budget. These are our goals for the adult dislocated worker and the youth. The amount that we're going to project it through. But again, this is a projection based on what we knew of 2 weeks ago when we turned it in, and that can change. For example, the state supplemental, which we'll talk about a little bit, that could change when we get that could change the number of registrants that we get in a positive way. So again, when we do those registrants, it's based on the data we have at that moment, and things can change from there. The next thing I wanted to go over was the state supplemental funding application in the budget. I turned this in to the state last Tuesday, and they preliminary approved it as of Thursday of last week. And now we have to turn in the uniform budget for that, and we're going to be working on that, getting that early next week. So, with the $2.6 million for the PY24 grant, you can add another $200,000 from the state supplemental grants. And there's three things we're going to be working on. One of them is working with adult education program partners at Lakeland College and Emory Community College to provide instructional booklets, Chromebooks, and laptops to Lakeland and to IUCC. So that's going to be one. The other two projects will be, one of them is working with single parents, providing work-based learning, on-the-job training, classroom training, short-term training to single parents. And we have a lot of single parents that are in our youth and adult program already. So we'll be, fully enrolling those people in the state supplemental with our workforce program. And that's going to allow us to serve more youth and more adults. And the last is just to emphasize workforce development and real prosperity. Again, that's just another way for us to say we're going to provide more training and education in our rural 13 counties because we're all rural. We're going to use that to reduce fare reductions such as mileage reimbursement, child care to adults and youth in our communities so they can get trained and get job. So those are the three projects we put in there. We can report, on a quarterly basis where we're at spending this fund. Now that funding probably won't be available. State told me the other day, probably till the end of October, beginning of November, but it will be retroactive to July of this year. So that budget again is in this packet. And again, it's total $203,000, we got to for the personnel. And the training. Like Debbie said before, the reporting will look different. Because I would like to report, expenses on the full grant. And we just gotta come up with, I don't want to overwhelm you with 50 pages of markets. Grant, but we do gotta find a concise way to share those expenses and continue to, share the goals of meeting or not meeting all those. It's just gonna look in a different format. So I guess what I'm saying is we'll show those new reports that next quarter in December. And if you guys like them, we'll keep them. If you want more information, we'll give you more. If you want less, we'll give you less. We'll see how that plays out that first quarter. Anybody have any questions on the budgets?
Kevin, from Monday night, you're gonna bring the budget on Monday night, that's on the agenda, right?
Yes.
Would it be possible to kind of show the differences of what the budget looked like when it was like my college's fiscal agent and you were providing Title I services, but kind of show how those two are both there and that you're rolling them into one, just so it's easy for the board to understand, because it is gonna look a lot different. And the numbers look a lot different, because when we did the budget approval for just the fiscal agent, we weren't looking at near the dollar amount, but maybe breaking it down and showing this is fiscal, I'll say sort of like fiscal agent piece, and this is Title I, because I think even moving forward, we may not do that, but just start so it's easy for the board to understand.
Right. So then, office budget, the administration part is the fiscal agent part. That's what we're gonna be counting that as the fiscal agent part. So I don't know if you want to share that compared to this.
Then I think saying compare it, just maybe even explaining that up front, is
Sure.
that the administrative part would be what was the fiscal agent
Correct.
piece.
That's correct, yeah.
And just kind of giving that, because I think sometimes when we go through some of these budgets, people get glassy eyed, and they're like, oh my gosh, what does all of this mean? But then they're the taxpayer dollars that they're responsible for, and just
Right.
making sure that.
And I will have our CFO at that meeting, so she can explain more details that they may have. But it is, the administrative part is going to be fiscal agent. It's all part of. But again, I want everybody to look at full picture we're doing, which, the plan we're meeting with them on a monthly basis to go over that. And, those metrics were being reported. We'll continue to do that. It's just going to be in a different sense. For example, the accounts payable report, I would suggest that we probably not do that. 20 pages long. But we can show those expenses in a financial report. It's just not going to be broken down on each check. That would be a lot of information. We can do that if the board wants that. We can sure do that. But it's just a lot of information.
It definitely is. I'm wondering, and this, just a side note, I wonder if even like, what we did with Tina, where we have the SharePoint, if that might be a place that we could put some of that information, so we're not paying off 22 pages of
Right.
paper that people could just kind of look at them either from their phone or from the laptop or something like that, might save on cutting so many trees down.
Sure.
Any other questions for Kevin on the full CEFS budget or on the WIA supplemental? And Kevin, thank you for including Title II. We're very appreciative of the
Yeah.
college that you.
So let's get that logo. That's huge.
We'll give you invoices. Yeah.
The only other thing I wanted to mention really quick, I think mentioned it at the last board meeting. But we, CFS, partner with URBA to apply for a home away grant. That is a great, working with the homeless population in workforce combined. And, at the time, LWIA 23 did partner, but a letter of partnership in for that grant. And that grant was, URBA's getting that grant. We're in the planning stages now of how we're going to implement that grant. And again, it was a partnership with URBA, CFS, and actually LWIA 21 and LWIA 23, and a few other partners. And that was a $1.2 million grant for 2 years. And so we'll see actually some more workforce dollars through that on our way. And we'll also report those, those goals and what we have and, our maintenance and stuff we're going to need. And we can share the funding too. URBA will be the grantee and we'll have a, contract to do those workforce services. So I'm really excited about that. The new state dollars going to be focusing on getting people that are literally homeless employment. So we're excited to see this all works. It may or may not. It's a pilot project. There's only 4 given out of the state, and we were one of the areas that got us. So we're pretty proud of partnership we have with URBA, LWIA 21. And LWIA 23 and all our other partners. We're going to be one of 4 that gets to pilot this and see if it works, and hopefully it works. And hopefully we'll do money each year to keep this project going.
Congratulations. Any other questions for Kevin? Jamie, we'll move on to number 8, board appointment updates.
So each year, there should be a list of the board that is up for appointment or reappointment. From the private sector this year, Lori Corman, Austin Willing, were up for reappointment, and they both have accepted and have completed their reappointment forms. Jim Bolin was private representation on the board, but he has met his max of 3 terms. So he, as the CEO from Clark County, had nominated Deb Bohannon from Bolin Enterprises to serve on the board. So her appointment form has been completed, as well as her nomination form. Then from the public sector, all 3 who are up for reappointment, Julie Overmar, Carol Tracy, and Kim Taylor, have accepted reappointment and completed their reappointment forms. So pending the chief elected official approval of their reappointments on Monday night, all 6 of the board members from both private and public sector will be ready to be sent to the state for the official approval. And then we will be set to go for another year until the next round of reappointments next. Thank you all who have generously volunteered to continue to serve on the local Workforce Innovation Board. It is a great mission, but if you're mission driven, you're not hopefully too upset that it is a volunteer position that you're not being paid for. We hope that you enjoy fried chicken every quarter in lieu of a salary. So thank you very much for your contribution and your time.
Any questions for Jamie on board appointments? Other business? I would like to say thank you to Jamie and Debbie. Jamie will be starting her new position at the college on October 1st as Dean of Enrollment and Student Success. And Debbie will be starting her new position with People's Bank in Newton as an internal monitor. I don't know your auditor. I know, monitors was in my mind, auditor. So thank you both for all that you do. I know that there's a lot that goes into committee meetings. There's a lot that happens on the backside, whether it be getting the Zoom set up, all of the reports and things that both of you do before meetings. So thank you very much, and I wish you both the very best at your new endeavors. So thank you for your service. Any other business? I see Casey clapping. Date and time of our next meeting is December 12th of 2024. That will be, gosh, right before Christmas, right? 4:30, same place. I will entertain any motion to adjourn. Oh,
I
was
move we adjourn.
We've got a motion to adjourn for
Wait,
a second. Second from Carol. All in favor, aye. Opposed,
Aye.
sign. Meeting is adjourned at 5:16.
Thank you. I will end the recording. Those of you joining us online, thank you for your time and your participation. I appreciate it.